Hello, part 5 of the tutorial on how to make your case for your USB power supply. So this is my finished product. This is what it's going to look like. Now what I need to do is get it from here to the 3D printer. So to do that I got to save it in a file format that the 3D printer recognizes and the 3D printer software recognizes. So I'm going to start with the bottom part. I'm going to click on it once so it's highlighted in green. Right mouse click, go open. Okay, so now there's back to my base part. And all I'm going to do is save it as a different format. So I'm going to go File, Save As, and you can see my two original parts. Now down here where it says Type, it says a part file. I'm going to scroll down and there's all these different file types. There's one called stereolithography, or an STL file. This is the format that the 3D printer needs. So I just click on that. I can still call it base. Click OK. Over here the only thing in all of this you have to change is where it says cord height, which is highlighted. Just put 0. And as soon as I click somewhere else, it automatically defaults it to whatever the program is going to feel is necessary. And I click on apply, and what that does is it gives it a bunch of curved edges and things like that. Okay, so when you actually zoom into this, this is a nice smooth curve. And I just hit apply, and then OK, and it's saved. Right? So now I'm going to close off this one, and I'll do it to this top part. So I'll click on the top part, right mouse click and hold it. Oops, I'm going to go to open. Here's the part again. Go File, Save As. Scroll down, type is stereolithography. Whoops, I didn't do the right format there. It's stereolithography. You'll see now that there's the base part, and now it's the enclosure. OK, set this to 0. Okay, click apply, and then OK. So it's saved, so I can close it off. So I've got my two files saved for the MakerWare software, or the 3D printer software. So I'm going to leave this program and I'm going to call up the MakerWare software. So this now is the makerspace, and this is basically the bed for the 3D printer. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to open up the file and place it on the bed. So I'm going to click on Add. In this case I'm going to start with the base because we want to make sure the base is right. So I double click the base. It's going to ask you to put up object on platform, move to platform. A scale up object, you're going to say rescale object. Okay, and what that does is it scales it automatically from the smaller, which is in inches, up to the millimeter, so it actually fits properly. If I'm not sure if that's the right size, I can click on it, click on scale. You have to do a bit of math here because everything works in millimeters here. Is 2 inches on the X, okay, really is. 1 inch is 25.4 millimeters, so 50.8 is 2 inches. So I know I've got the size right. Now, I need to turn this and fit it on the table flat. So I'm going to click on Turn, and sometimes you have to click 90 degrees, right? That turns it 90 degrees that way. If I want to rotate it this way, I can go 90 degrees so I can see it that way. And I'm going to go back to Move, and I'm going to move on platform. Okay, and it's very important that it's on the platform, otherwise the 3D printer tries to print in space and it doesn't work. Last is I'm going to go to Look. I'm going to close this off now. And I'm just going to hold on to the button. You can see I can scroll around and look at it to make sure it's in position. And in position can be anywhere on the bed basically. And the other thing I can do is if I look from the side and I use the scroll button, what I'm doing is making sure that it's flat across, it's not on an angle. Because again, if it's up on an angle like this, and let me show you this, if I actually have it on a bit of an angle like that, okay, and if I go to look from the front right now, you'll see that it's going into the bed. That's not good, right? So I'm just going to go back to Turn, and I'm going to take this one back to 0 to make sure it's flat. So everything looks good. So close it off, and I'm ready to make it. So I'm going to take this now. Oops, let me go back to Look. There you go. And I'm just going to do it on that angle. It doesn't matter. So I'm going to go to Make. In this case, I'm going to export for Replicator 2. Solution or resolution. I'm going to go for a standard resolution because I'm going to explain this. If yours is up like this, the advanced options, you click on it to come down. Okay. Now I'm going to explain the quality here. Infill. Infill is how much material is inside. So for you, I'm going to suggest that you do it 40%. Okay. The number of shells we're going to leave at 3, and the layer height we're going to put at 0.2. What that means is every time this thing does a pass, it puts down 0.2 of a millimeter. Okay. So in other words, to get to 1 millimeter thick, it's going to have to take 5 passes. The number of shells is how many times around the outside it goes, okay, to make it structurally strong. And then at infill is how much between the shells, between each edge, that it fills in. So that's a pretty good number. So I'm going to click on Export. Okay, once I've clicked on Export, I'm going to export it to a thumb drive. And the thumb drive you will end up getting from the 3D printer, and that's the only time you can get it because you're going to put it onto the machine right away. So I am currently putting a thumb drive into the computer, and when I put it in, you'll see, maybe you heard a little blink, and what's going to happen is under my computer here, there's my removable disk. So I'm going to click on it. Okay, there's all these other things that have been put on recently, and you're just going to call yours your name. So in this case, it's Klassen - base. So I know that it's your part and it's the base part, and we're going to hit save. Okay, and what's going to happen now is it's going to slice, and what it does is it's dissecting this basically and making it into information that the 3D printer reads. It's going to go through slicing, verifying, and once that is done, it is complete, and then I can demo the 3D printer. Okay. The last thing is that you'll obviously have to go back and put in your top part. It's following the same process. I'm going to do a quick little talk on that. So that is now done. Now, I can add a second part to it, right? So I just go to add, and I take my enclosure. Okay, so move to platform, rescale object. There's my enclosure. Okay, I'm going to click on it this time. I'm going to turn it. So click on turn. I'm going to turn it 90 degrees. No. Now, here's an interesting thing. If I leave it like this, okay, what's going to happen is it's going to build up from the edges, and it's going to try and build across the top, and that's in space. It's not going to build very well. It's going to droop. So what I want to do is make sure that it's actually this side up. Okay, and then I'm just going to move it over. So I'll take this and just move it over to a different space. Okay. And then if you look right now, let me go back to look, you'll see, whoops, hang on, there we go. You can see it's up in the air, so I just have to do back to move and go on platform. Okay, but just as a side note here, and I'm going to close it now. Okay, so now when I look at this, when it builds, it'll build the bottom first, and then it'll slowly build up the top. What might happen is this part here, you know, it's going to have to draw in space. The thing is that this is a short distance, so the machine will go straight across or not affect or have it droop down a bit, right? But you could, in theory, build both parts at the same time on there, and you know, and you might want to do that so it's all done in one shot and it's over with. Sometimes building only one is better because that way you can see if it works the first time around or not. So I'm going to stop there. That's the conclusion, and the next part of the tutorial would obviously be watching how to use the 3D printer.